can hope for. That's all we can hope for, Puckett. I tell you what, Jay, this is going to be an electric series. You and I, we've been circling this matchup for a long time. Atlanta FaZe versus LAG Arseny's first time facing off against an Atlanta FaZe squad, of which they have got a lot of history, a world championship, multitudes of wins. This is about to be a good one, my friend.
Oh, this is going to be a banger, man, because we're talking about the best hardpoint team that we have throughout Stage 2, undefeated on the side of LAG, going up against a struggling Atlanta FaZe so far throughout Stage 2, 1-3 in their hardpoints. You see the stats popping up, 6 overall rank positions for the LAG, and then last for Atlanta FaZe. That's the biggest thing that's going to stand out for me, because going up against LAG, they have played this map twice with this new squad. They have won both of the times by more than 100 points, and that's simply because they're the best breaking team that we have in hardpoint, and when they're winning the rotations, makes it even more difficult. So for Atlanta FaZe, this map number 1 is going to tell me if they made any adjustments. Biggest thing they got to fix is getting to that hardpoint early.
Here we go, basically into the headline matchup here on Friday. LAG and Arseny's facing off against the Atlanta FaZe, a revenge match. Really, when we talk about the entirety of the Guerrillas, Jay, I know the desk touched on it, right? Obviously, we know the storyline with Arseny's, but it's also a huge storyline considering that the Guerrillas, the Academy roster, Assault, Exceed, and Joe Thieves, they lost to this Atlanta FaZe team, but it was very close. This arguably is what put the Academy roster on the focal point of the Guerrilla franchise to add them to the starting lineup.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that when they played in that series, they also took both hard points, and both of the hard points are the exact ones that we have in this best of 5. So early pressure from LAG, getting a little bit of time over towards P1, but their main focus is controlling the better side of the map. Arseny's already trying to cut off towards P2, loses that first gunfight, but the second line of defense is going to be there from Joe Thieves. Great shots from Assault, but neither squad getting any time off P2 so far.
Yeah, for the first time, it's going to have to be Arseny's staring down the barrel at the Tiny Terrors on the opposite side since Kai champs in 2020. A big moment for him as he eventually does fall, gets brought back into the fight, and right now the Guerrillas holding those preferred spawns right now for P2. Not a whole lot of time that's often generated when it comes down to our first hard point here on aBeZy, but at the parking lot is when you can start to stack up the seconds. A few players begin to spawn out, but Assault is there for the read. He cuts down a few, and now all that remains is MC toward the back lines. The final 20 seconds looks to go the way of LAG, and there's a very big fight going on toward next as well, Jay.
Yeah, Arseny's at least is able to take down one, but cannot find the second onto Simp. Now it's all on to Exceed. You have to challenge this quick if you are him, but unfortunately cannot win the gunfight. The trade does come in, but it's going to be Atlanta FaZe. Already top bridge control, trophies down. They should be fully set up, especially with the players setting up on the pinch and aBeZy through bottom orange. It's now LAG is spawning towards the better side. You want that side of tennis, so you can just consistently continue to flood on through. They find the kills, they're able to get the break, and now they're able to get the hold.
And this is one of the scariest part, right, Jay? I mean, about this Guerrillas lineup has not just been about, oh, you know, they're a good hardpoint team because they rotate effectively. It's because it's like, no, they just break you. Like, regardless of whatever setup you've got, they are so good at breaking into other team setups. Almost a mirror of what we call this Atlanta FaZe team of old. As on topic with that, they also managed to get the break on in. So a much needed return fire out of Atlanta as they look to be in a good spot to claim the final 15 seconds as now the rotation comes in toward office.
Yeah, the rotation is going to be big, and look at the play that's already sneaks his way up street side. It's going to be Simp. He does find that first kill. He's able to find 2, relieve some of that pressure. Now 2 of his teammates are going to be able to at least assist him, but Assault, he's able to shut down the pressure with 3 of his own. That TAC 56 in hand makes every gunfight look a little bit easier. So LAG win the rotation and win a couple gunfights, and now they should be fully set up, but that's going to be Atlanta FaZe finding a couple kills. They're ready to set the pinch up,
and that's just the aggression. That's just the aggression that Atlanta FaZe can express, but LAG, they're able to answer back. Assault goes down, but this time it's the other rookie in Exceed who's able to deliver. Atlanta is applying all kinds of pressure, but so far LAG has been able to weather the storm up to this point. Still a very valuable 25 seconds still to fight for. Lots of bodies exist really toward either side. Atlanta eventually are able to break, but Jay, LAG definitely made them work for it.
Yeah, they definitely did. They're just staying ahead of the game right now. There was only 2 players left in towards that P4 hardpoint. They were able to find 3 and still relieve some more pressure from Atlanta FaZe and now execute another break at it. Now be late off the rotation over towards Kitchen. as aBeZy have bread control. We have one player in Arsenal who's playing slow towards the top. He eventually is going to get picked off. So now Atlanta FaZe are going to be able to put on pressure from Laundry and the back. Have to hold your guns up if you are LAG.
You got to be ready for it. Assault, maybe not with the greatest weapon of choice, but we'll see what he can do with it in close quarters, and it's perfect. He's able to find his pick, and the rest of the team does their job as well. Thieves starting to heat up inside of the kitchen. Right now, he sits at 4 in a row as the Guerrillas look to only extend their advantage. Jay, it feels like every time we cast over this team, Thieves is the guy to put up numbers, and he has been electric in hardpoint as of late.
Yeah, especially on a map like Embassy. He has the #1 overall KD on this map with a 1.4 KD. That's crazy because he's an SMG player. That means he's just flying around, but Cellium is able to find the break on towards Kitchen. And at least Atlanta FaZe just getting closer and closer to taking this lead right on back. Cellium is such a difficult kill to try to pick up. C finds another one-on-one, and with that clean 4 dead, it's now going to allow Atlanta FaZe to get fully set up, hold this kitchen side of the map, makes it easier to rotate over towards that P2, and also easier for them to get some time. Right now, it's just all about these kills. Who can find a couple and eventually hop on this point?
There's been so many people who've talked about, Jay, you know, the Guerrillas when it comes down to their hard point. I think it was Clay who at one point on the flank was talking about LAG. The reason why that Academy roster was so solid at hard point and still is just because of because of how great they are with the new spawn awareness. It feels like they are just aware of where everybody is on the map, and we'll see that really be put to the test. Now with Atlanta FaZe holding those preferred spawns, when it comes down to P2, that mindset, really just that preparation that they come into for maps, it's going to be put the ultimate test. 4 go down. Atlanta with a great break, but take a look at player 4 at Arcitys. He could be the one that starts to spoil things.
Yeah, you just want to stay alive now if you are Arcitys. Maintain this back kissing position, allow your teammates to set up the pinch through street. As Cellium just waiting towards top plat. He spots one, able to line up the shots, take down, exceed. And this is going to be Atlanta FaZe with early success on towards P2. Last time around, it was all LAG finding the kills, holding strong, and eventually finding about 25 seconds. But Cellium on a fire spree, 19 and 8 to start off this hard point. Atlanta FaZe are breaks away from taking the lead.
Yep, very close to grabbing that advantage as Slasher and Cellium, the AR duo, continue to combine for kills. Moments away from grabbing that advantage. Let's step aside and go to a listening with Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah, I spawn. He's front, one shot. I'll see him. He might have been housing. Running AC radius. AC one shot.
Halls one shot.
One more in orange.
Settles one shot.
Yeah, Joe in orange.
aBeZy absolute. One shot top bridge. We have a streak too.
Yeah,
Oh,
one shot.
Yeah, third time to finish.
Top new. I'm shield.
He's one shot.
I'm gas walking us.
In orange. Weak. Joe.
Joe ran the mid. Gas me. One shot. Gas so one shot.
Can we streak this?
Yeah, I could.
Side P4.
Top
aBeZy and side P4.
I'm shaking.
There's time.
Yeah, I'm 36. One gas, one time. Gas, guys. Setter. I'm gas right now. Gas it. Oh no, gas in orange.
Orange not peeking.
Gas in orange, yes.
Okay, orange time. One shot. No trophy on the thing.
Bottom orange again.
Bottom orange.
They're spotting orange.
In time, one time, you might have a trophy.
You got 2 in orange.
Bottom orange this time.
Give me right there.
Give me hitting side or
Yeah, I'm trying.
Alright, one shot top aBeZy. Assault's like godwall.
I'm right there.
Top aBeZy, guys.
I'm right there.
Bottom orange. Bro, watch, got small kill. Let's hold on our holes.
That's fine.
A great little check-in there with Atlanta FaZe. We know, right, this is a world championship caliber type roster. Rings across the board, but even those comms, as great as they were not able to crack the code over at the ACs. As LAG once more keep themselves alive, keep themselves just narrowly in the driver's seat. But back toward the office we go, and now it's their opportunity to have the spawns at their back. As Simp looks to heat up Jay. 3 in a row.
Oh, big kills coming in from Simp. Controlling the spawns, knowing that they're all going to be towards kitchen side, trying to attack towards the back of sign, and also push through mid bathrooms. As Atlanta FaZe find themselves only down by 20 points. They take down the player that's already on the pinch. This has been a flawless hold on this P4 hard point for them to eventually take this lead. LAG trying to still put pressure on through bathroom hallways, through both the hallways. They win a couple gunfights, so it's still going to be here as they have the favorable side going into the next hard point as well. They get the break, and it's all on the back of Thieves as he finds the initial 2. Now the final 15 is going to be the Guerrillas.
Yeah, good work at the end for the Guerrillas to break on through. That is big time, especially at this point in the game. They'll take that 20 seconds without a doubt. They win the final 1v1, and the scrap belongs to them. Now the rotation in toward the kitchen. You see those ARs being put away, and now it's time for the Vaznevs to come on out. Exceed could be the man to make the play toward the back lines. He's got one man in the front, and he will clear things out toward the back. Assault now on 5 in a row. Exceed, he's been the assist man so far, but can he take down MC? Not going to be there. Assault eventually does get dropped with the SMG himself, and Atlanta, they run right back on through. aRSTYs, though, puts 2 away. Has got some words for aBeZy and Cellium as Big Daddy Alec hops right in the kitchen.
And now look at the spawns for Atlanta FaZe all the way toward the back of aBeZy. It's going to be quite some time before they're able to get on and contest this, especially when you're not winning gunfights. Exceed goes for the challenge onto Slasher, but now it's a 1v1. He eventually does get taken care of, and this has been a great hold from LAG to continue to grow this lead the way that they have. 10 seconds remaining on P5. If you are Atlanta FaZe, now you have to fight for a lot of P1 time and not allow LAG to continue to hold the spawns the way that they have been towards this kitchen area.
So Assault does get found out. We reset and go back toward P1. Atlanta, without question, in the better spot for right now. They've got the more preferred spawns at their back, and now they've got 3 down. So
perfect.
Really exactly where you want to be if you're Atlanta FaZe. Is really, this is where things start to get moving for the Guerrillas. They know they have some time to work with, Jay. They don't have to necessarily go for P1. They can try to go for spawns, and Assault may actually try to do both at the same time. That's 2 down.
That's going to be 2 dead. LG, no. They're getting closer and closer. You're really not going to have a strong setup over towards P1 as the trades are abound. And now if you're Atlanta FaZe, you just have to keep them off. You have to at least have to force that P2 hard point. Slash is sitting towards top paper, is at least able to take down that first player. aBeZy finds a second. Is still putting on a lot of pressure. This game is far from over.
It absolutely is. Atlanta still fighting. Joe Thieves able to win a big 1v1. He eventually falls. 3 players.
They got P2 as well
on the map, but aRSTYs is able to pick one away. So the only player really at that 50-yard line right now for Guerrillas. 1 break is all it takes. Atlanta, they have got to play clean. They've got to play strong, and they cannot allow for a pick to go the other direction. Simp versus aRSTYs, and it's Simp who's able to grab it. Another crucial kill for him. Here comes Atlanta.
Oh, but Assault, he finds 2 kills towards the back of kitchen, so now that's going to open up the pinch. All of LAG trying to put pressure on through the middle. They find the break. They're winning a couple of the gunfights, and now they control the spawns. You have to contest this right now. If you are Simp, just try to find this kill onto Exceed. You see where LAG is starting to spawn all the way towards the middle of the map. They can close it out here, but trades are going back and forth. LAG win the rotation over towards next. So now Atlanta FaZe have to try to just cut their losses, get towards the next hard point, because LAG are fully going to be set up for that P3 and close it out there.
Yeah, 8 more seconds. LAG have said, you know what? Let's go ahead and scrap it. Let's rotate toward new. Make FaZe come to us. And that's exactly what's going to have to be needed at this moment. Assault having a great game, able to cut away the first. MC wiped off the map and hitting the respawn screen. 5 seconds to go. Joe Thieves, they start to line up. aBeZy, can he get here in time? Can he contest? And no, he will not. The LA Guerrillas answer again into hard points as they take our game 1. And my goodness, what a W it is. That has got to feel good early there for aRSTYs, Jay.
Oh, especially for the entire Guerrillas roster, man. That's got to feel great, because you're not going up against no slouches. You're going up against a team that everybody kind of fears sometimes when they're playing at their best. Atlanta FaZe just didn't win a majority of the rotations on the first rotation of hard points. The second time on the rotations, they were able to get P4, get some good time. They were able to get kitchen, but it was Guerrillas break after break whenever they needed to, especially at that kitchen hard point where they were able to maintain the lead they did. Losing a hard point to one of the best hard point teams that we have in the game in the Guerrillas by only 17 points. Just a couple mistakes that you need to fix. I'm pretty sure that P3 hard point, Atlanta FaZe didn't get a single second off of it because of the setup that the Guerrillas had and the way that they were just prioritizing that hard point, knowing that this is a money hill for us. We need the setup, and it showed, man. They won key gunfight after key gunfight, break after break to close out map number 1 and now go up 1-0 in the series.
And Jay, now we've seen 7 hard points for this new LAG team. They have won all of them. They have yet to lose a hard point with this new squad. What has impressed you the most, right, throughout this entire spree so far, this map included? What has impressed you the most about this new LAG lineup?
it's their pacing. It looks like everyone is just delusional confident on the map. Doesn't matter what gun you have. They're flying into every single hill knowing that the trade is going to be abound, and their communication has to also be on point. Keep in mind, this team's only been a squad for about 2.5 weeks now, and they're showing some of the best characteristics in hardpoint. Early rotation, great communication, trades are efficient. Right now, LAG, with their pacing wise, the way that their SMG play, the way you have RCDs playing with that AR in hand, with Assault now being that slower AR to just maintain those spawns, get those crucial kills, you're allowing these guys to play at such a different pace than the old LAG roster has, and that's why you've been seeing a lot of different results in hardpoint. Undefeated in that game mode. And it shows in that map number 1. Now going into a hotel search and destroy where they have yet to play this one with their new team. So this one's going to be up in the air for me.
Yeah, without a doubt. I want to jump into that search destroy, but I just want to quickly highlight. I feel like we've talked about so many players for this LA Guerrillas team, right? We know the storyline with Arshties. We know the rookies, right? And Joe Thieves and Exceed. We got to get a lot of props to Assault, right? In that last
world champ,
32 and 23. It almost feels like we haven't fully portrayed that story as accurately as it is, right? His comeback into the CDL to see what he has been able to do with this team. We know what he was able to do at the end of the Challenger season last year, obviously winning that one with Exceed as well. It has been a very interesting storyline. Just one of the many fun things about this Guerrillas lineup is obviously the turnaround that they've had, but it's also the stories within this new lineup as well. The Academy players, the Challenger players, a lot of fun storylines to dive into, and Assault is without a doubt one of those at the top. So as we said, the hardpoint streak continues, and now the search destroy. It's definitely one of the game modes that they have had to work on, Jay. I mean, I think when we talk about this Guerrillas team, if we're talking about a barometer, right, for search and destroy, this is definitely going to give us a really good indicator on where they sit, because Atlanta FaZe, I mean, this has without a doubt been their best game mode so far this season.
Oh yeah, 3rd overall in the S&D category. It's top 3 S&D team in the game. But if you are LAG, there's a little bit of history, a little bit of homework you can do on how Atlanta FaZe love to play themselves some hotel S&D, and it's usually on their attacking rounds. If I'm LAG, I'm going back and watching that series that Minnesota played versus Atlanta, because they played them great on this map. They won 6-3. Majority of the time where Atlanta FaZe find a lot of success is when they get first blood out of aBeZy. Overall in search and destroy, his KD's at a 1.43, and a majority of that always comes in those opening duels. So I'm really looking at, if you're LAG, shutting down that pressure towards this A bomb, because you allow them to get that free bomb plant. That's when they have a 61% chance at winning the round. You don't want that to happen if you are LAG. Just hold your gunfights. You know the aggression that Atlanta FaZe is going to have. So if you slowly allow the Guerrillas players to pick them apart, that is when Atlanta FaZe are going to struggle.
You see aBeZy is a 1.43. Like, is that just on hotel or is that this season?
No, overall on the season. Yeah, on the season, he's a 1.43 overall in search and destroy. But on the map, like hotel specifically, he's a 1.44. So it's 0.01, a little bit better than overall his search and destroy.
Good heavens, aBeZy. I knew the numbers were good. I didn't know they were that good. I thought it was like, oh yeah, on this map, he's really talented. You know, he just sees a lot of success. No, just in general, yeah, 1.4s. That's just too easy for aBeZy, is the very clear tagline. Yeah, I think without a doubt, I mean, you laid it out perfectly. I think for LAG, it's like, you know what? Let's just try not to get first blooded by aBeZy. Let's try to make sure that we're not putting up 1.4s on our heads when it comes down to this search destroy. We should be in good shape. Lot easier said than done, without a doubt. But excited to see what Atlanta FaZe can come up with when it comes down to the search destroy. Jay, I know we had a chance to touch on the storylines a bit, but there's also a pretty big one when it comes down to that man in the bottom right, Slasher. I know the Des touched on it quite a bit, right? His, comeback to facing off against this old Guerrillas lineup. He was able to deliver the one championship that the LAG franchise, I'm sure, holds true to back in Major II last season. It's a big moment, right? To know that you're sitting in the chair of the guy from last season, and the same thing can be said for Arshties as well. You know, it's gonna be not awkward, I'm sure, but it's definitely, I don't know if it like maybe kind of caters into the mind when it comes down to both these guys if they're in a 1v1 fight from time to time.
I think aLLeY put it perfectly on the desk. Like, when you're the guy that comes in for a guy that they just dropped, and then you're playing the guy that used to be on the squad, a lot of pressure is going to be on Slasher, because you have to show why you deserve to be here, why you were that player that took RCD's position on this Atlanta FaZe roster. so far he's been a great leader, especially in search and destroy. They have been lacking in hard points with search and destroy, where they have been able to get into the series. We saw it in the last one versus New York. They pull it off by winning the 2-3-5. That's insane to say, because Atlanta FaZe are usually one of those squads that we always talk about in hard point. But right now, they're taking over in search and destroy, and majority of that does fall into aBeZy's hands. But with a leader like Slasher, he's definitely given those play calls.
Yeah, so often, I mean, it felt like last season, the Atlanta FaZe, the reasoning for why they make that change in the first place was because of mistakes, and they felt like Slasher was the guy that could really translate a lot of those issues that they had been suffering, a lot of the problems that they had been dealing with. They called upon him to really be the guy to iron those things out, to make sure they are in good form. As we're going to take a look at a few of the highlights from Atlanta FaZe, actually at the major that we ended up having, rather the series that they faced off against when it comes down to New York. And you can see the S&D that they put on display. You're seeing those numbers from aBeZy, Jay, and I guess I see why he has that 1.4 KD right now.
Oh yeah, he's got that Vaznev in hand, bro. Any close gunfight versus aBeZy is never going to be easy.
See what you did.
He's just snapping on snapping on snapping. This is what he does. And then when you get Simp to snap alongside him, this is when Atlanta FaZe are the best search and destroy team in the game, because they're not afraid of any moment. They're not worried about making adjustments to the round, because they're great. They're world champions and they're capable of doing so. But when you allow Simp and aBeZy to just set the tone early in search and destroys, that is when it starts to get out of hand. Because then at that point, you're getting super confident. You know, everything that they're trying to do is trying to shut you down. But when you continuously find success, your team is going to be able to find success. So just take off that opening hard point. You lost it by 17 points. Usually find yourself in this situation for the Atlanta FaZe members, but the search and destroy is always where they bounce back.
Yeah, without a doubt. I apologize. I think I was reiterating that they were at these were the highlights from the major. This was the highlights from the...
Oh, no, it was last week.
Yeah, it was the highlights versus New York that I don't know if... That wasn't like on stream, was it, Jay? So it's like...
It was, sort of.
Kind of. I wasn't
for 4
here.
hours.
You know.
Yeah, it was up in the air. It was all over the place. We got to see something.
Regardless, that's a massive W for Atlanta, right? Coming into this matchup, they've got to have a decent amount of momentum that I think is fair to say is slightly silenced, at least after that opening hardpoint loss. But a victory over New York, I mean, that's got to say a lot about this team, right? We know the players across the board, the talent that exists there, the high expectations that they have as well. And I think it's fair to say too, man, like there's just a lot of questions on this FaZe lineup, right? They lose that 3-0 versus Minnesota. They come into that matchup versus New York. I think it's fair to say a lot of people thinking, hey, you know what? Probably going to be New York's matchup. FaZe ends up taking that, and now we're left to wonder, where does Atlanta FaZe truly sit, right? Are they still that team that we're expecting to be in those finals every single tournament? Or have they started to slowly go down the ladder a bit? And I think that this series versus Guerrillas is going to give us, I think, a little bit more information on where this team really does sit moving into the Boston Major.
Oh yeah, that's big, because obviously they need to work on hardpoint. They haven't really had the best success rate so far throughout stage 2 in hardpoint, 1-4 overall. And when you talk about Atlanta FaZe, at least when you talk about these world champs, it's always been throughout the respawns. Atlanta FaZe haven't been able to do it so far throughout stage 2. Yeah. S&D has been a lot better, and I think this map number 2 is a must win for them, because you know, at least in that map number 4 that LAG have now been able to force that one. It's Mercado hardpoint, where this squad was able to beat them before. So confidence is all flowing right now for the Guerrillas.
Yeah, without a doubt, you can see the boys are getting high. I think they're like throwing their hand warmers maybe across the setup to each other. But let's go ahead and take a look at our Major II Qualifier standings right now. This is where things do start to get a little dicey, Jay, because when you do have that 2-1 record, there is still an opportunity really for both of these lineups, right? 5 and 6 right now for LAG and FaZe. There is still a chance that you can walk away with that negative record, that there's still a chance that you could be in that elimination bracket. And I want to say that really for both these teams, obviously they're facing off against each other right now, but whoever loses this has got a lot of pressure. I think the Guerrillas have Toronto to face off against tomorrow.
Tough.
Well, Atlanta FaZe, Jay, they've got OpTic Texas to face off against on Sunday. So whoever loses this matchup very well could be finishing things off. As surprising as it sounds, there's a high chance they could still have a losing record despite the way that it looks right now.
Oh yeah, if I'm Atlanta FaZe, that means I'm turning up to a whole different level in this search and destroy, because going up against that OpTic Texas roster for their final game, if they potentially fall short in this series, that one's going to be for all the marbles. To make it into winner's bracket, to make it into loser's bracket, you do not want to allow that to happen. But finally, we're getting into the search and destroy. You see the stats from Assault, 1.3. We were talking all about aBeZy at 1.4. But Assault, world champion, in his own right. Shows it in Search and Destroy. 1.3 overall in the attacking rounds. He's dominating with a 1.8. Opening duels, he's winning it 67% of the time. Sheesh. I would love to see aBeZy versus Assault, especially with that vast depth going up against Attack 56 and start us off.
I'll be honest, I mean, aBeZy's terrifying. Assault with those new luscious locks, absolutely terrifying as well. As we jump into round number 1, a little bit of a delay, but here we are. Into Hotel we go, and it's Atlanta FaZe starting things off on the attacking end. So confident they didn't even decide to grab the bomb. Assault, well, we talked about it, opening duels, at least able to drop Cellium off the rip with that nade. The MC goes bye-bye, and Atlanta FaZe left without a member and still left without the bomb. Gotta grab it.
Down to 3v4. Fortunately, the stun is able to connect, able to slow down Simp. Arsenes finds a kill. Exceed finds a one-on to aBeZy. Now it's all up to Slasher, and he's gonna drop as well. The Guerrillas hold strong on the defensive end. Starts with that first blood. Atlanta FaZe do not have the bomb. They eventually have to wrap back towards it. But it's looking like Atlanta FaZe is trying to put a lot of pressure on towards the middle of the map, but could not win any of those gunfights. Guerrilla, flawless first round to start us up, a 1-0.
Yeah, and a nice little early nade tossed out from Assault as well. As the first blood percentage continues to raise, the KD gets better as well on top of it. Like I said, Atlanta FaZe, they're ready to go for that full one-on-one team fight in the middle of the map, and the Guerrillas answer back accordingly. As now we'll flip sides, LAG now on the attack, and by no means a middle of the map endeavor. It is all out toward A, looking to get that bomb down as soon as possible. Joe Deceives there to punch in the digits. That one is down. Atlanta now in the 4v4 retake.
Oh, 4v4 retake, and no one is in a position to at least try to get the player off bomb, or at least take some map control. As everyone from Atlanta FaZe decided to wrap back towards bedroom, they're checking all the corners, knowing that at least Exceed did show presence, that he was aggressive towards bedside. But he's just playing towards the catwalk steps, and time is starting to tick. There's only 20 seconds left, and neither one of the squads have lost a player.
Oh, and Exceed ends up dying. At least tosses out that nade, able to stall the push, at least for the moment. But 15 seconds left. Atlanta FaZe have got to get a move on. Joe Deceives catches a flying aBeZy. Now it's up to Cellium and Simp. Still a job to do, and as long as LAG stays alive, this round becomes impossible. Simp, some great gunfights, and sees his good old buddy Arsenes across the way. But regardless, it is the Guerrillas who hold true. They find the kills, and tell you what, man, Atlanta FaZe, it just didn't seem like there was any presence at that bomb site at all. They finally pushed onto the site when there was about 20 seconds left.
Yeah, there was just no time. Like, Simp was the only player sitting towards bottom bedroom. He watches two players cross towards bomb, and instead of dying, he just backs up, waits for his teammates to get back into the play. But by the time that happens, it's not that much time to work with. As LAG just keep him off of the site, keep a couple players alive. And now we're up 2-0 in the Search and Destroy. That was just a perfect counter to the setup of Atlanta FaZe in that round.
So what Atlanta FaZe elects to do. Down 0-2, back on the attack. This is where they've seen all of their success on Hotel Search Destroy. It comes from this attacking side. Number 2 on Hotel attacking rounds. So that's going to be put to the test. Simp gets a bit aggressive over toward those brick stairs. He falls, and another first blood again goes the way of LAG.
So now into 3v4. If you are Atlanta FaZe, you have to make the play come to you. aBeZy is going to be that bomb carrier. Does he try to stress this bomb and force the retake? 3v4. But they're wasting a lot of time right now. The attack is about to come in from Assault, so he's going to be able to open the door right on open. But unfortunately, the timing isn't going to match up, but he finds the kill onto Cellium. At least aBeZy's there for the trade. 3v2.
aBeZy's really the player to look out for. Slasher goes down, pops dead silence. Now 1v3. A bomb that he planted, now he's going to have to defend it. Does so quite nicely, cuts down Joe Deceives. Still 2 players to go, and Exceed, confident as ever, hops right on that bomb, has to jump off. Now back on the defuse again. aBeZy will fall, and Arsenes remains flawless. Cuts down Simp a few rounds ago, and now has some words for aBeZy. LAG, clean S&D through 3.
3 first bloods. You force the play to go to them. And I thought aBeZy was able to get off that site beautifully, but Cellium just wasn't ready for that nade to get pushed through bottom lights. Assault makes it a 4v2. And once they take down Simp, they know in the 2v1 aBeZy's still going to be towards bottom bedroom. Arsenes backs all the way up. He's able to cover every single angle as the stretch comes in towards the bomb. And I was worried about the Guerrillas on this map because they have yet to play it.
Yeah.
But obviously, like with this squad being as new as they are, 2.5 weeks of practice, they have just been looking great in search of destroying hardpoint.
It's such an impressive turnaround, man. Like, you know, weeks ago, we were saying LAG versus Atlanta. Well, that's going to be a quick series, maybe a 3-1 at best. Now we're talking about LAG. They could be the favorites coming into this series, given how great they have looked lately. There it is.
First blood.
4 for 4. Now in first bloods, continuing to see success. LAG, with all the confidence and all the information, find their pick and decide to back on up. Thankfully, for Atlanta FaZe, Simp, meanwhile, takes down Assault. And so the information is somewhat lost. The map positioning, not as strong as you would have previously liked it for the Guerrillas, but into the depths they go. And while it was B to A, it could be back to the B site we go again, Jay.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to be the play call for the Guerrillas. Once Simp picks up that kill onto Assault, obviously the rest of Atlanta FaZe are thinking that bomb is going to be committed over towards A, but they have just worked their way all the way up through mid the QZ.
Oh my gosh.
And should be able to get a free B bomb plant. Now 3v3 on the retake. Cellium was trying to get any ounce of information that he can get. He's going to get it all right now because the bomb is going to be planted. 3v3 retake, 45 seconds.
It's the one lane. It's the one lane Atlanta FaZe wasn't holding. It's the very one that LAG takes to their path to getting the bomb down over at B. Cellium going for some spray checks. Can he find anything? Continuing to tag up a few of these pots and pans, but it's Joe to Thieves who walks away with both. aBeZy and Simp erased, but Cellium still with a bit of life. 20 seconds to go. Drops. Guerrillas continue to fry. I'll tell you what, Jay, I mean, it looks like, obviously we have the Codcaster, right? We know exactly where those arrows are positioned. It looked like LAG knew exactly what Atlanta FaZe was going to do when it came down to the rotations of where they wanted to take this bomb site. That is great mid-round coordination there from them.
Yeah, those mid-round adjustments right there to gain all the information, knowing that Simp is going to be towards bottom bedroom. And then RCDs was slow playing in towards Donna, seeing that no one was aggressive in towards A, so they have to have hit the rotation. They find the opening through middle and close out the round beautifully. This has been flawless search and destroy from the Guerrillas. 5-0 from RCDs. This now falls into the hands of Joe DeCease, who find himself on a 4-speed, gets that information, and aBeZy already crosses towards bedroom. So now it's time to iron up, play a little bit slower, and look at the player that's trying to go on the late flank. Exceed, trying to make the play.
Oh, Exceed attempts to make it. Slasher, the veteran, able to shut him down. We talked about experience, and that's where it pays off perfectly there for Atlanta. They finally get a first blood on the board, and we'll see what they can do with it on the attack as well. As shots continue to get exchanged here throughout Hotel. A bit of a pause, and maybe a bomb that does get tossed off. Now it'll be in the hands of Simp. Another big pick there for Slasher as he wipes away 2.
Now in the 4v2. Assault does pop that dead silence, but Atlanta FaZe are fully ready for this. They just want to get the information of where both players are playing. And I think they just gained it. Now the bomb is going to be able to get planted over towards that B point. Joe DeCease trying to put down a couple shots, but the challenge is going to be hit from aBeZy. Eventually, Cellium finds the last guy, and after finally the first blood from Atlanta FaZe, great plays from Slasher, get one on the board without anyone dropping. Atlanta FaZe stop the bleeding, now down 4-1.
I mean, it has to come there. Like, I know we're talking about, you know, oh, you're down 3-0. Okay, now you're down 4-0, but you got to get a little bit of life if you're Atlanta.
Gotta have something.
You got to have a little bit of momentum moving forward. Get some information to work off of. Maybe get somebody on a spree. And right there, we talk about new additions, how great Arshties has looked so far throughout this search destroy. This time, the new addition for Atlanta FaZe and Slasher. Able to put away 2, and that puts his team back on the board. Slasher versus Arshty's tail only continues to get that much more interesting as into this next round we go. But it's a very aggressive defensive play out of Atlanta. So much so, they send a Simp flying forward. However, he's tagged up. And he's instantly lost to aBeZy. It's as if LAG knew exactly what Atlanta was trying to cook on up. Somehow Simp manages to stay alive. Still LAG with numbers. We've got a lot of scattered arrows across the map.
Oh, yeah. Great kill coming in from Slash to at least relieve some of that pressure over towards that A site. He take down Assault, but look at the positioning right now of Arshties. He's already pushed out towards back kitchen. So this is free roam to just go towards B, get this bomb down. He should be able to catch a couple players from Atlanta FaZe trying to rotate through the middle of the map. But this is going to be another retake in a 3v3 situation over towards this B bomb. Do Atlanta FaZe have any tacks to work with this time around? Because that's the thing that they couldn't break in last time. No stuns, no nades to work with. And they have to try to execute the break once again, this time from Diner.
Lack of utility could be their downfall. Joe Deceives try to go for the, I think it's the standy spot. Over toward the top side of the screen. See if he can find that. Meanwhile, Exceed finding himself in a pretty nice position. Arcetics cuts down Slasher. Now it's all on Cellium and Simp. Make it MC all by his lonesome. And the Guerrillas continue to dominate early on in these rounds. And as you said, man, it's the positioning from Arcetics that just allows for that plant to be taken over to this B site that much easier.
iLLeY just looks so calm, cool, and collected, man. Even with such a young team, with 2 rookie players, they're not making any mistakes.
No.
All the mid-round adjustments that need to come in, they're reading them perfectly. 5 first bloods lead to 5 successful round wins. As now LAG put themselves at game point already in this search and destroy.
And this is crazy. Like we're talking about Atlanta FaZe, this is their best game mode. Like they are literally 12-6, in danger of going 12-7 now. They look lights out like the best team in Raleigh at this very game mode, but Simp starts to arrive as he'll cut away 3. And instantly we start talking about Atlanta FaZe going down once more. Simp is there to say that we've still got a bit of life. Great work. They're coming in from the young god as he delivers. And as we said, keeps Atlanta FaZe's hopes still in this search destroy.
Right there, LAG, they read the play beautifully. They were aggressive through connector, but Simp just slips right on by. When he works his way in through Diner, finds a couple kills on the flank through connector. And then the last player towards double arches. If you want to get around on the board, just get a 3-piece. Simp makes it look easy. So Atlanta FaZe stay alive a little longer. Now down 5-2. LAG super aggressive this time around, though, towards that A bomb plant. We saw how successful they were the first time around. Now it's going to be a 4v4 retake once again.
Really shots being established in from Arcetics. Let's get a bit of information. That's really about it. Exceed somehow already finds himself toward top bed. Finds one on his slasher. aBeZy. He also gets dropped. Cellium at least is able to find one before he removes himself from that team fight, and understandably so. They do not have the numbers, but right now they also don't have the time. It continues to tick away, and Exceed very well could be gifted another kill, and there it is. Simp will fall, and it is clean work and search and destroy from the Guerrillas. Everybody getting up, as now they are up 2-0 over Atlanta.
Oh man, let me tell you, Lando, these revenge games always hit a little bit different as LAG dominate in that search and destroy. Every time they got a first blood, they always found success on the round. 6 first bloods in favor of them, 6 round wins to close out the search and destroy. That was just beautifully played, man. Beautifully played from the Guerrillas. Like I said, every mid-round adjustment that they needed to make, they made it.
Yeah.
Multiple first bloods go in their favor. Whenever they find the first blood, they were able to close out the round. And then on the attacking rounds where Atlanta FaZe, they just had a broken setup. The only player that was playing over towards that A bomb was Simp watching across from bottom bedroom. But when one player is going to be aggressive towards top plat, now you have to focus on that guy. And then there's a guy on bomb already, so then you focus on that guy.
Yeah.
It's just, it was so much to work with right there for the LA Guerrillas, just taking the map to them. Just took control of that A bomb whenever they wanted. Hit free rotations over towards B. Just a perfect game plan from the Guerrillas. And a search and destroy that they have yet to play. And now we're 1-0. Now 2-0 in this series. Unbelievable performance from them so far.
Yeah, it has been wild, right? We kind of figured the Embassy hardpoint. I mean, as of lately, it's been one of their best hardpoints. They're one of the best hardpoint teams right now, it seems like, in the game. Maybe arguably the best hardpoint team in the game. But for them to do that versus Atlanta FaZe in Search Destroy, one of the best teams in that mode, like I said, a map that we've never seen. Again, it just feels like this story around the Guerrillas, which is such an impeccable one. It's an incredible comeback to what their early roster looked like to where they are now. LAG, in incredible form right now, find themselves up 2-0 over Atlanta FaZe. Arcetics, I'm sure, has got a big smile on his face, but the job is not done just yet. Are we in for a reverse sweep, or does LAG call game here on El Asilo Control? We'll have to find out right after this break.
Upgrade your game with the Scump, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. The Call of Duty League is presented by the GMC Hummer EV Pickup, the world's first all-electric super truck.
Howdy, friends, and welcome back to the final matchup of the day. It is LA Guerrillas versus Atlanta FaZe, more specifically, aRSty's facing off against his old squad, and right now, he is having a grand old time, up 2-0 versus FaZe after an aBeZy hardpoint W. LAG goes into Hotel Search Destroy, a map that they have never played, and they looked flawless on it. Now sit one map away from possibly having a 3-0 sweep. What is this?
I don't know, man. This LAG roster is not to be messed with. I have no idea. When you're talking about this LAG squad, they're new. Like, they haven't been a team for a long time. And they're looking like one of the best teams in the game. Undefeated in hardpoint. They're making the adjustments in their search and destroys. And now they find themselves up 2-0, going into the aLLeY control. And this is the biggest thing that scares me with this LAG roster, because ever since this squad has been formed, they have lost every single control map. They've tried all three, but they have lost every single one. The time that they played this one, they lost it 3-2 to the Florida Mutineers. And that's going to be good because you're going up against an Atlanta FaZe roster who have auto-vetoed aLLeY control for quite some time. The last time that they played Atlanta was December 9th in their second overall stage match. Like, that's insane. Atlanta FaZe do not mess with aLLeY control, but now they're trying to, yeah, it's been a whole different year, my friend.
I had to get that one. I'm sorry, it's dead.
Now they're just trying to figure out something in their control, and going up against a team like LAG who haven't found success in control overall, this is a place where you can potentially start the reverse sweep.
Yeah, it's like it's an interesting situation when we talk about this map and mode specifically, because I think you and I were talking about this during the break. LA Guerrillas, right? They've gone 0 for 3 on every map so far that we have in control. They just need one map. Like, they just need to figure out a control map to kind of get that in their map pool, and then from there, you know, they can start to figure things out. I think for Atlanta FaZe, the same thing can be said, right? Because 9 out of their last 10 controls have all been on Hotel. Like you said, they haven't played an aLLeY in a year. And then Fortress, I think, is pretty much even, if not slightly under a below average scoreline. So, like, you kind of have this situation where both teams are trying to improve the control. And for Atlanta FaZe, I mean, this could be something that we start to see be implemented by other rosters who are facing off against them. You know what? Get Hotel out of the way, and then you've got them in a tricky situation where they don't really know what control to play after that.
Yeah, that's a scary thing, because when you look at the rest of our maps and modes throughout this series, every single map, at least on the LAG side, they're going to be super confident with. It's been Atlanta FaZe auto-vetoing this control every single time. Then going into that Mercado hardpoint, potentially at that game number 4, the Guerrillas Academy roster were able to beat Atlanta FaZe on it, so they're already confident. And then you're going into the aLLeY Search and Destroy, where ever since this team has been formed, they're sitting at 1-1, but they're just getting better and better in every single mode. So the last time that they played it, they were able to win it, and they just continue to grow as a squad. So if you are Atlanta FaZe, it has to obviously start here if you want to stay alive in this one. And for me, the way that they're going to be able to get this one done is simply in the slaying department. LAG have been getting outslayed in every single one of their controls. Not a single player was over a 1.0 KD in the mode for all 3 that they have played. So if you are Atlanta FaZe, it all starts with the slang. You see so far the KD from Simp, 0.79. Not the best from one of the best players to ever touch the sticks.
Yeah, without a doubt, expecting for Simp to turn things around. I know in that search destroy, he started to, it looks like, get a little bit more vocal toward the later stages of that search destroy. And I don't know, man, like even catching this guy whenever he was like 16, 17 years old. It just feels like when the team is down, regardless if it's like a search destroy tournament or even if it's a COD Champs Grand Final, when the team is down, he always seems to turn things up. So we'll see if he can start to have a better performance in this game 3. And as you said, start to lead the comeback here for Atlanta FaZe in their efforts of a reverse sweep. But so far, it has been all LAG as they walk away with that opening team fight. So often on aBeZy control, we talk about how crucial that opening engagement is for the offense. And aBeZy is strutting in the bottom side of the warehouse. I don't even know if he was aiming in at everybody when it came down to that triple kill. Great work from him as he instantly opens things up. And now into the A zone we go.
Oh, but Atlanta FaZe, they lose those next couple of gunfights as Thieves is able to find two. Okay. The last 2 players up, they drop. So now everyone coming off a spawn. They have no segments to show for it. As with the Guerrillas putting a lot of pressure over towards this A point, they're forcing all of Atlanta FaZe to continuously spawn out towards back white. So the last push is basically coming in towards A. Thieves at least takes down 1. But now his teammates have to be ready for the push. Assault finds a second. You have to get on this point if you are Atlanta.
Yeah, this is the frustrating part if you're Atlanta. Like, you almost have to like iron around every single door that you come in from. aBeZy controls such a ratty map from time to time. Atlanta desperately trying to find a lane. And now their only checkpoint very well could be that B zone. The only player that stands in the way is going to be Thieves. A few seconds left. Somebody from Atlanta FaZe is going to have to dolphin dive into the point. Simp will fall, and there you go. LAG, a commanding and convincing early defensive round. Atlanta had their moment to strike, and Jay, they come away with 0 segments.
Yeah, I don't know if Atlanta FaZe came ready to play today, because LAG are just doing whatever they want on the map. They hold down that A push for the majority of that round, and that one time they did try to go over towards B, just sit your corners. You make it a lot more difficult. You have someone sitting towards top party, someone towards bottom lockers, and it was just never a clean 2 to 3 dead in favor of Atlanta FaZe, and they had nothing to show for it on that early attacking round. So now if you are the LAG, you put yourself in the advantage by just simply getting 1 segment done. These gunfights can be so crucial, but if you are LAG, it's all about getting that 1 tick of aggression in.
Oh, and Cellium just going into turret mode. Absolutely beaming across the map, putting a hurt on the Guerrillas, and from there, as he puts the pressure in from the front, rather from the back, it's aBeZy who's doing work on the flank. Great work there from aBeZy as he skates into 9-4 territory. And that is just Atlanta FaZe putting their slang on full display, Jay. Like I said, Cellium beaming from afar, and it's aBeZy on the backside, putting the Guerrillas in a world of pain as nobody has really yet to successfully make it past that 50-yard line.
Oh, yeah, they can't even get past the 75-yard line because they just can't get across. Atlanta FaZe are keeping them in the trap. As long as Slasher's staying alive in this position, they're continuously spawning out towards back white. Big gunfight comes in from Assault. Now you can start to get pushed up towards top radio, but now you have to deal with Simp. He cuts down the first. He's just going to stay alive for his teammates to get into the play. What would look like a great dominant defensive round from LAG. Atlanta FaZe trying to respond with one of their own.
Yeah, I was going to say, coming into this round, this is exactly what you want to see, right? Atlanta down 2-0. They need to answer back into control, and you want to see them almost come away with a more dominant defensive round than what we just saw LAG do, and that is what we are seeing.
My God.
To 10 and lives is how we will close things out. And for a moment, I just saw Exceed's face, and he was like, all right, well, we just had to give one away. Like, I guess Atlanta has finally arrived here on control.
That was dominant, Lando. That was dominant. I don't know if any players from Atlanta FaZe are potentially working towards that cruise missile, but that could be a big thing involved going into these next couple of rounds. If you can pick that one up, you could potentially close out one of these points. But now if you are Atlanta FaZe, you just simply have to get out of your spawn. Try to find a clean 2 to 3 dead right off the rip. These initial gunfights are so massive because if you lose these gunfights, LAG take map control, and then they just can play corner after corner until and make it very difficult for you to break out.
I don't know if anybody's having a more fun time in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 than aBeZy right now. The guy is 7-5. We are literally 2 rounds into the game, and he is 17-5 right now. Oh, he is hungry. He just went top shelf, nearly snapped onto his 6th. Good God. Atlanta off the back of aBeZy. Quickly jump onto that A point. There you go. Now 6 in a row for aBeZy. Having himself a time as that A zone quickly gets captured. Another minute added onto the clock. And oh yeah, aBeZy sniffs out Joe Deceives too.
Oh, and this can start to get scary. But at least the spawns are on the favorable side for the Guerrillas. Still spawning out towards Cliff, but it's all the players from Atlanta FaZe with the perfect transition. Exceed is the last player up, and I'm pretty sure the round is going to be done and dusted as long as the stack is able to come on in. Spawns all the way across the map for the Guerrillas. Tacks are hitting, but the second tick is already here. The test is not going to be here. And what looked like it'll be a flawless defensive round from Atlanta FaZe is followed up by a flawless attacking round from Atlanta FaZe. Unbelievable performance, especially out of aBeZy. Like, what has he got? 20 kills already? Unreal.
aBeZy has 20 kills. Slasher has 5.
Feet kicked up, man. Relax it today.
That is one of the crazier score lines that we've seen so far this game. aBeZy with 20 kills. The rest of the team's just not even in double-digit territory yet. They've just allowed for aBeZy to take off. And the 20, okay, he's got 21 kills. My bad. I said 20, he's got 21. I think we all know the reason why Atlanta FaZe finds themselves up 2-1, and very well to be walking away with a very fast LSCLO control as he's already found himself in a great spot. Quickly and hungry, ready to pounce. 2 players wiped away. There's going to be another one. 3 players found out. The only man that still exists right now for LAG is going to be Exceed. The only lifeline right now for the roster, and they call into aBeZy to sniff him out again. It just feels like this gunfight's about to be guaranteed to go his way.
Yeah, but the way that he's playing so far, Lando,
he's winning this.
Yeah, it's hard to shut this guy down.
He's winning.
So delusional, flying around the map, just zooming everywhere. The Atlanta FaZe are able to find 2 kills. They know that the push was going to come in towards B, but they're doing a great job of just wasting that time on the clock. Assault finds 1. Now this should open up some pressure over towards 8. But aBeZy just keeps on slipping by. They can't find this guy.
I couldn't either. I mean, he literally is everywhere. He is everywhere. He was at B, he's at A, he's in the top side, he's in the bottom side. Thank you very much. I'm now 24-6. Oh, God.
Oh, my.
He at least puts in a few shots, and Cellium, who technically gets awarded for the kill. But 30 seconds to go, and LAG have nothing. They have absolutely nothing to their name. No segments, no ticks, and nobody currently on an objective. That has to change soon as Exceed finally and somehow very cautiously makes his way over to that B zone. And tell you what, Jay, he finally starts to make his way forward, and there is aBeZy to cut him down again. 10 seconds left before LA Guerrillas get put to bed.
No, well, I'm just wondering why Atlanta FaZe auto-vetoed this for basically since last year, because they just came out and just dominated the last 3 rounds. No segments to show. Like, yeah, play the music, man. That was a very, very fast control from both squads. Start off with LAG dominating on the defense, but then Atlanta FaZe, more specifically aBeZy, said, this is all me, baby. This is what I'm doing. I'm running around with the fast them. I'm going to make sure we stay alive in this series a little longer, as Atlanta FaZe dominate in that control and stay alive in this series a little longer. That's a confidence switch up right there, Lando. The way that aBeZy just played, man, definitely got to be on the lookout for him going into this next hard point.
On!
Oh, my.
He went 27-8?
Feet kicked up, I'm telling you, from everybody else. Hey, we could all relax. aBeZy's got us, boys.
Flasher 7-7, man. He's having a great time. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying, like, it's just crazy the pace difference that you see. 2,600 damage. Alrighty. Well, it is aBeZy who takes game number 3, and with that being the case, we now have ourselves a series, my friend. I thought it was going to be Simp who turns up. I mean, he still has a great game, finishes 15-12, but I mean, out of the gates early on, it was Atlanta who answered early. After going down 0-1, we said the need to see an answer. I remember Cellium went into turret mode, and from there, it told aBeZy to go, and Jay, he never stopped.
He never stopped, man. He was just consistently running around,
running somewhere,
challenging gunfight after gunfight. Yeah, aBeZy's still winning some gunfights. Velocilo's still around. He potentially would have had 40. He was turning on people. Like, he was doing whatever he wanted. So now that's a confident switch up if you are Atlanta FaZe. A very dominating map to keep yourself into this series. Now going into a Mercado hardpoint where they are the best team in hold percentage. And that stands out to me because so far for LAG, 7-0 in hardpoint, best breaking team that we have for every single hardpoint, over 50%. Going into a map like Mercado, it's very difficult to break in towards the P2s, towards the P6s, and even towards the P3s at 10. So if you are Atlanta FaZe, you just have to stay ahead of the game in this one because your hold percentage is the best in the game. It makes it a lot more difficult for LAG to find break after break. And especially with the way that aBeZy just played, man, just know that guy is going to be all over the map in this map number 4.
Yeah, it's like the one thing where it was like, okay, you know, if Atlanta FaZe comes out, win the control, you know, I think they have a chance to win the Mercado. Now I feel like they're favored to win the Mercado after like that. Like, how often do we talk about on Mercado Las Almas that like your SMGs are oftentimes, you know, the deciding factor? You know, we talk about how close some of these hard points can be, whether it's 10 or Cantina, as you've labeled it. I mean, if aBeZy's firing like that, there is nobody in the world who's going to be able to slow this guy down.
Absolutely not, because he's playing with that fire. Like, if you remember the series versus Seattle, he was just running and gunning. Like, no strategy to aBeZy's gameplay sometimes when he's playing the way that he just did in that last map. It's just like, I'm better than you. I'm going to challenge you right in your face, and I'm going to win this gunfight, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
That must be a great feeling, Jay, to be able to do that.
I know, right? I know. I've never had that feeling, and I was a player, you know? Like, this guy just, he's able to flip the switch whenever the hell he wants. And I'm really looking at aBeZy, based off that performance that he had at map number 3, to just lead the way again for Atlanta FaZe. Because usually on a map like Mercado, you're always expecting, at least in hardpoint, it's always the ARs that have to hit that early rotation.
Right.
But you're always going to find yourself in a map like Mercado where the Vaznev player always have to put himself in a nice little spot, whether it's towards Cantinas, whether it's towards 10, and just play his life in that position and wait for your AR players to get into the play. So SMGs have a little bit bigger of a role on this map when it comes to the slaying, when it comes to the holding down the hills. But it's all about those rotations, staying ahead of the game. And Atlanta FaZe have the potential to force game 5.
I don't know about you, Jay, but I also feel like there's an underlying element where, you know, you're going down 2-0 versus the Guerrillas. You know, you want to try to have a positive record moving into Major 2, whatever all that stuff is. I think just in general for Atlanta FaZe, specifically for aBeZy, by the way, the Canadian control is absurd, by the way.
Unreal, dog.
That shouldn't be shown on to live people on Twitch. It's crazy. But I think there's also an underlying element too where it's like, we can't lose 3-0 to Arcties. Like, we cannot allow for this to happen. Like, this is a revenge game. Everybody's aware of it. We can't allow for this to take place. It almost feels like there's like an element of desperation that Atlanta FaZe had in that last map. And now they're flying high. aBeZy takes over on iLLeY control. And now we come into Mercado not knowing what exactly to expect. Is it the start of an Atlanta FaZe comeback, or can LAG start to silence the fire that exists on the other side of the stage? Here we go, buddy. Game 4. Jumping on in.
And Atlanta FaZe, they started off on the bad side as well, but they didn't give up a lot of time toward the Guerrillas off towards P1. Now it's time for aBeZy to strike. Super aggressive in towards tunnel to potentially flip these spawns, but with him dying right there in that situation that Joe deceives, it's still going to be LAG with the preferred side of the map going in towards the next hard point. So now if you are Atlanta, you want to try to fight for as much P1 time as you can. But it's all about these kills. Now you have to execute a break on towards the next hard point. We said that they were the best holding team in the game. When you're not rotating, not in the better side, going into the next one, it'll be a lot more difficult to break on it.
You see aBeZy, man. He's ready to go. He's ready to jump on it. He feels like he's been waiting for hours for his players, his teammates to come off the spawn. He's ready to jump on through. Cellium able to find a pick. Simp goes first. Able to find one on to exceed. Joe Deceives gets wiped away as well. Simp is handling business. The only player still alive inside of the Cantina is going to be Assault. But he is at least able to find 2. Keep in mind, this is P2. Cantina, it's actually on the bottom side. We'll eventually visit the second story, but right now, it is all about the bottom. It's Simp to start, and it's aBeZy right now to close. Atlanta FaZe break on in, and they look to extend their lead.
Oh, that's a flawless hold after the break comes in from Atlanta FaZe. Now you're forcing LAG to cut their losses. Fully set up over towards P3. No streaks to work with for Atlanta FaZe. They're going to put a lot of pressure on through Banana Alley. Trophy does come down. Here come the AR. Just ready for the gunfights. Assault, the first line of defense, he at least finds one, but now it falls into RCD's hands. He eliminates both of those last 2 players, and now there should be a full rotation in favor of the Guerrillas, fully set up.
As we said, RCD's facing off against the old lineup. Absolutely wants to have a great performance. He put up a great spree on aBeZy, looked excellent in the search and destroy, and now is trying to deliver here in the hard point. Close out the old lineup. Finally get that monkey off your back. As now we head in toward 10. Atlanta, you got players really on either side. Exceed, the young gun, trying to prove his worth, and does so in that moment. Cuts away 2. The other 2 players from Atlanta now coming into the outside alley. Archie's brute forces his way through the door, and his teammates are there to win the fight. A lead change and now a rotation as we enter in toward the barbershop.
Yeah, it's going to be Atlanta FaZe. All control of back alley. Guerrillas are trying to break on in from the front. They find that initial kill onto Slasher, all ready to win in the trade battle. Got to be careful if you are Atlanta FaZe. Now you're going to spawn all the way across the map. The close ball comes in from Jodeci on the pinch. Only 1 player left into the point. It's going to be Cellium. He finds 2 though. Big 2-piece coming in from Cell to at least get his teammates back into the play.
See, trying to answer back. He eventually gets dropped. It is all out chaos inside of the barbershop. Arcedes dives on through. Jodeci says a prayer, hops on in, looks both ways before crossing, and he also gets found out. It is all of our players in the lobby within about, I don't know, 20 feet of each other. It is absolute madness, but it's the Guerrillas who do eventually come out on top, and that is big time right now, Jay, that they're being awarded for the moment.
Yeah, that was big time for both squads. Looked like everyone was late to their haircut appointment, as everyone was just flooding in towards the barbershop, but no one could get in the seat to get it cut. As now LAG growing themselves a nice little 40-point lead. Atlanta FaZe are forced to hit that early rotation. You just don't want to drop before the hill actually pops. Big kill coming in from Simp. Great reads coming in from Cellium. They shut down the push from the back alley, and now they fully set up knowing that all of LAG had to at least attack this from the front.
And this is an Atlanta FaZe team as well, Jay, that has to be very prepared for a Guerrillas lineup who has made this incredible spree of being 7-0 at hardpoint off of breaking. They've got to be ready to lock this one down. Got to be ready for at any moment it could be a strike from the Guerrillas as they do thwart that push. A great little moment there from Atlanta as they're able to reestablish the forces and cut down the Guerrillas in their attempt of making another break of a hard point. Simp, a little bit of a slow start to this game, but he's starting to heat up now on that 2 spree, popping dead. He's trying to make the play toward next. Final 15 look good to go the way of FaZe, but it is an all-out brawl now toward that next HP. LAG strong and comfortable as they make their way up through the alley. It's aBeZy who's going to be the first line of defense here.
It's been blow after blow for both of the hard points that they're just trading off of full 60 here, full 60 there. But this time Atlanta FaZe have the potential to chain one together towards top E6. They do read that player in Slasher that was coming off of old. Now you just have to win these trade gunfights. Atlanta FaZe are the best holding team on this hardpoint specifically, and so far it has been able to be shown why, as they are winning the trade gunfights. Last player up is Exceed. You gotta slow this one down, wait for your teammates to get into the play before you attack.
You can see Exceed, man. You can see those eyes constantly taking a look at that mini map, just trying to get a better idea of what's going on. No red dots, but who cares? Atlanta erupt again. It just feels like LAG are just struggling to even see what the cantina looks like. They forgot the beautiful structure, the architecture on that location. Atlanta, picture perfect work as aBeZy continues to fly, now at 13-8. Cellium at 19-9. FaZe, these last few hard points, they've started to chain them together. And Jay, they also find themselves with preferred spawns now at the parking lot.
Yeah, this is where Atlanta FaZe start to put this game away. They're able to chain 3 hard points back to back to back. They're finding every single kill in the feed. Last player closest to the point is going to be Joe to see if he gets taken care of. And just look at the spawns for the Guerrillas. They're so far away, all the way at 10. They're trying to flip the map. They're trying to take control of Cantina's side. But Atlanta FaZe have just been playing flawless rotation after rotation for the last 3 hard points that are putting them closer and closer to that 250-point mark.
Oh,
this game is basically almost over, Lando. Atlanta FaZe made the adjustments, and should be able to close this one out and force game 5.
Goodness sake, I mean, there had to be a very interesting halftime speech, I'm sure, when it came down to all 4 of these players.
Jesus!
As they have absolutely turned things around, and that control and that momentum, that talent, that fire has also translated here onto Mercado, as we're about 15 points away from already seeing a game 5. It feels like one of the fastest game 3 and game 4 back-to-back maps that we've seen in a while. And LAG gonna try to bring this one back the best way that they can. I mean, they're trying to think about spawns, but just with the lead growing the way that it is, okay, this is all but over now.
Yeah, this one's done and dusted, my man. Let me tell you, because LAG, they're still getting the bad side spawns, going in towards that P2. And it's just the SMGs for Atlanta FaZe just cutting them down. Simp is sitting at 11-11. Feet kicked up on this hard point. 4 seconds away. Atlanta FaZe force game 5.
And there you go. Atlanta down 2-0 have answered back in a big way. And there are no smiles now on the top side of your screen. Well, maybe a little one from Assault. Maybe just a little frustrated when it came down to that game plan, trying to refocus the team, entering into that game 5. Said, hey, we're all good. We're all good. But Jay, I don't know if they are. I don't know. Good right now.
I don't know. I agree with you, Lando. With the way that they just came out for the last 2 maps, it's been all Atlanta FaZe. They've just been able to do whatever they wanted. Clean 3-1 under control. Almost at a 100-point club. And the Mercado hard point. It just got out of hand when Atlanta FaZe were able to chain 3 hard points together. That P5 mid courtyard over towards P6 top cantinas. And then when you find yourself at parking lot with the preferred spawns for every single one, I said they were the best holding team on that map. And it showed why. Now they're able to force a game number 5 going into an iLLeY search and destroy. And I truthfully don't know how this game 5 is going to end, but with momentum, definitely on Atlanta FaZe's side.
Yeah, they're shooting straight. They're definitely shooting straight right now. We'll see how well that caters into search destroy. And it's going to be funny too, because so often we talk about iLLeY, things start to slow down, and we'll see if that favors a team like LAG, if it just continues to promote the side of Atlanta FaZe. I have no idea how this one's going to go, but feel free to let us know on social media. Feel free to type in the chat who you think is walking away with this game. I know you've invested those channel points. I'll tell you what, my pick'ems, I'm sweating. Every series feels like a difficult W. Who's going to walk away with this game? We will find out right after this break.
Upgrade your game with the Scump, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. The Call of Duty League is presented by the GMC Hummer EV Pickup, the world's first all-electric super truck.
How's it going, friends? And welcome back to a very, very interesting series that's about to hit game number 5. Atlanta FaZe taking on the Los Angeles Guerrillas. And I'll tell you what, we just witnessed a very interesting last hard point there on Mercado, Jay. It feels like 10 minutes ago we were saying LAG's up 2-0.
Yeah, LAG, they get their very first loss in hard point, but it wasn't a pretty one. Like, LAG were up 102-59 at the end of P4. They ended the game 250-102. They didn't get a single point after the first rotation at that P4 hill. Just utter dominance from Atlanta FaZe to now put themselves in towards this game by iLLeY search and destroy. One thing that really stands out for me, though, with this new LAG squad, we saw it in map number 2, is their fast plan towards A. They're the #1 attacking team on this map, and hopefully they can show us why. They just need to get some momentum back into their side, because it's all been Atlanta FaZe as of recent.
Without a doubt, if you're the Guerrillas, I mean, the perfect thing that you could cook up is a early offensive victory here on iLLeY. As you said, their specialty when it comes down to this map and mode. Joe Thieves eager to plant down the bomb, does exactly that, and now it's on to Atlanta FaZe to hit this retake. Eager as ever, Joe Thieves, he's jumping on a mattress, he's waiting for somebody to try and engage a few early shots, and Joey, well, tries to make his presence felt. The door opens, the door closes. Atlanta, you've yet to jump in. Somebody's got to do something. Simp does exactly that. Pops through with 1. 15 seconds to go. And it is all-out chaos. aRSeny's last one up. Now a 1v2. Has to play the time. He has to play the time. He's going to go for the top POV. Catches out Simp. Oh, aRSeny's picture perfect work. A nice little clutch versus the old squad. In my word, how about a round 1 win like that?
Oh, that's a 1v3 for aRSeny's. And it's all in the communication, because Joe Thieves knows there's not that much time on the clock, but he plants it for the stretch towards top middle plat. So aRSeny's gets that info, doesn't commit towards the child towards bottom pool, repositions himself towards top mid, gets the player off bomb, and then is able to get that final kill as well. Would look like to be a scary round for LAG. aRSeny's with the 1v3 to now go up 1-0.
What a performance we saw in the game 2 search destroy from aRSeny's. I mean, through like 4 or 5 rounds, he was flawless. And doing Atlanta dirty in that opening round. As we said, a huge moment for him. So much chatter about his departure from Atlanta FaZe. What would life be like afterwards? Delivers in the first round. Joe Thieves, eager to answer. Able to bring things now to a 3v3. Bomb down already.
Bomb down already. You have the tiny terrace who is still staying alive in towards the site. Simp at least finds 1, but unfortunately Joe Thieves with the team kill. He does have Dead Silence pop, but so does Slasher. Just has to find the timing. He might have read this play beautifully, and Joe Thieves, the young gun for the LAG roster, makes up for the unfortunate team kill by clutching up the 1v1 versus Slasher. Great round from LAG on the retake. They solo out both the players in towards the site. And eventually Joe Thieves with the big one-on-one. So now put LAG up 2-0.
I'd love to see situations like this, just a side-by-side. You've got somebody with all the experience in the world, and Slasher, a world champion, one of the oldest players that we've got in the league, somebody who's been around the block a time or two, and then the youngest player in the league, in Joe Thieves, 18-year-old, a fresh face. Jay literally played his first Challenger Cup like 2 months ago, quickly gets added into the lineup. Just love to see moments like that. The veteran facing off against the young gun. They've had a few duels so far throughout this series, but arguably none more clutch, none more impactful than that last one. As we jump into round 3, nice and early, it's Assault. Starting things off with the first blood. A player that's often done so for this LAG team so far throughout Search and Destroy, as they'll look to get the plant down and basically play off that strategy that, as you've called, Jay, they know so well.
Now the 3v4 retake. aBeZy knows that Joe Thieves is the player that usually plays in toward the site, but he cannot win the gunfight. Slasher does take down 1, but Joe Thieves is taking over in this search and destroy. All left up to Slasher 1v3, and the Guerrillas with another great attacking round. You get the bomb down, and Assault also finds that first blood. But it all falls into the hands of Joe Deceive once again. Big 2 kills from that site to relieve that pressure. And now LAG 3-0, all smiles.
Yeah, we talked about, right? They just wanted to get a first round on the board, and then 1 became 2, and now 2 is becoming 3. And this is shades of what we saw in that first search destroy, my friend. LAG went up big, started things off like 4-0 or whatever it was. Took a while for Atlanta to wake up, and now they have absolutely got to. S&D has been there so far this season, and Assault reads them like a book. Tosses it perfectly. Slasher will fall. aBeZy does too. This is all the makings of a quick 4. And there you go, Guerrillas. My word.
They not making no mistakes, Lando.
They've been in the lab, Jay. They've been in the lab.
Bro, let me tell you, the double nade onto Slasher to get the first blood. And you know how aggressive the Tiny Terrors are and towards that A site. A couple pre-fire bullets come in, you get a player 1 shot, and then you go for the challenge. Make it a 4v2. Player hits the flank, you take him down, and then the last player up, he gets pounced on. And LAG aren't making any mistakes in the search and destroy. The same exact thing they did in game number 2. 4 flawless rounds, 2 rounds away from completing the 6-0.
Just the momentum has been insane in this series. It was all Guerrillas, then it's Atlanta. I mean, just dominance in games 3 and games 4, and then just right back into the search and destroy. And Guerrillas, as if they haven't skipped a beat, as if that game 3 and game 4 never happened. aBeZy and Simp, the 2 players it feels like who have been the difference maker to get us to this game 5 in the first place. They quickly answer. It's right now they've got numbers for what feels like the first time so far throughout this search and destroy. As now it's on to the vets, Assault and Arcties.
Oh, he checks the corner but cannot win the gunfight. Onto Cellium. Now it's RC's in a 1v3. Already clutches up 1. Finds that first kill onto aBeZy. He does not have that bomb in hand, so this round could be a little more difficult. He has to go retrieve it. But that silence is not going to be here for RCDs. Can he try to clutch up again for the Guerrillas?
Oh, holds his irons. It looked like he had that gunfight. It looked like he had it. But as we said, Simp and aBeZy, that aggression finally does work out for them. When they absolutely had to win a round, they're able to do it. Still alive, Jay. Still alive.
I think it was the defensive switch up right there from aBeZy and Simp, because we saw how aggressive they were the first 2 defensive rounds when they go over towards courtyard. They were trying to set up that flank, do double doors, and through top green. But this time they switch up strategy. They said, Joe Deceive, you're not going to get this bomb down for free this time around. They double stack in towards the site. And Atlanta FaZe finally get 1 on the board. Now they just have to respond with a couple rounds to chain them together. And hopefully try to get this bomb down ASAP. Because no one from LAG are going to be in towards that A-bomb.
Oh, the sun gets open, but Simp is ready for it. Simp is ready for it. LAG and a play cooked up. The stun to the door to open it. A perfect read there for Simp as he walks away with the first, but Exceed runs through, cuts down 1. He also falls off of the stun that ends up landing at his feet. Now at 2v2. Another situation for Assault and Arcties. Try to come away with it, a round that you have to have if you're FaZe. Can Arcties be the difference maker once more? Or does Atlanta FaZe have that ice? 35 seconds on the clock as Assault looks to pop dead silence.
Oh, he pops dead silence, and this can work out beautifully if he finds the timing. As the bomb is going to start to get planted for Atlanta FaZe over towards A. Arcties is thinking that the push is going to come in towards B. Very, very far away from this play. Now it's all about finding that first kill. If you are Assault, dead silence is not reset, but now it's all left up to Slasher. 1v2.
All up to Slasher. Now versus Arcties. 30 seconds to go. 2 vets. Slasher in need of a W. As we said, the series, all eyes on him. Assault tosses out that nade, trying to find information. He knows roughly where Slasher's gonna be. Slasher catches the shoulder, but Assault, he can't leave that gunfight. He can't necessarily leave that fight. And it looks like Slasher is gonna clutch it out for the team. Let it go, going big. When they need him the most, he's able to deliver. Calm, cool, collected, dodges the nade, stays alive, and plays the time. Atlanta down 4-2.
Oh, 2 rounds in a row now for Atlanta. Slasher with a huge 1v2 clutch. by just playing it patient, like you said, Lando. That repositioning towards top window gets the sound cues of Assault jumping up towards the side. But then Assault knows there's not that much time on the clock. You have to try to play for this challenge on towards the bomb. And unfortunately, Slasher just plays the clock beautifully. Now can they respond with the defensive round again? As we know how aggressive LAG are likely to be over towards the safe site.
And if we know it, Atlanta knows it as well. They know they've got all eyes on that plant. They want to try to get it down over an A. Simp jumps on through. He ends up following. It's Joe to Thieves and Exceed. The rookies were able to deliver. It was Atlanta FaZe with the first blood, but the numbers quickly sway the opposite direction. Very carefully, MC makes his way up the alley, and now it's all up to him. A 1v3 now as the bomb gets planted, and his life gets made that much more difficult.
Yeah, LAG aren't going to give up anything easy. Assault was just throwing shoulders, dancing around.
Whoa.
Cellium still able to find that kill. Now in the 2v1. Both players from the Guerrillas are going to be playing in towards the site. It's looking like Cellium is going to invest that dead silence. It can be such a big play if he can read how they're set up properly.
Spots out one! Now brings it to a 1v1, goes for the dolphin dive. Oh, Cellium! Oh my word! If he gets away, if that foot just tucks away behind the wall, there is a chance. But Cellium gives it all that he's got, and it's just one bullet. One bullet is all you need for Joe to see sweat off the brow in what could have been a series-changing clutch there for MC. Now, it will speed up the bleeding again. Guerrillas now on map and series point, Jay.
All they have to do is hold strong. Don't allow this bomb plant to go down for free for Atlanta FaZe. Look how aggressive Jodeci is. They also have a trophy in towards that A bomb, so no tax are going to be impactful on this push. Stun comes in. It's able to connect onto Jodeci's, I believe, but with that second one, it's going to go to the trophy system. So get a little bit of assistance. Teammates got to help you in these gunfights.
Big spot for the SMGs, the Guerrillas. Back to back they go inside a mattress. And Atlanta FaZe, they don't find an angle that they're comfortable with. They tossed out the utility and nothing really was found. They'll decide to go ahead and invest the Simtexes, invest the nades. Meanwhile, it's arsonies toward the top, who cuts down Cellium. Meanwhile, Joe deceives. The trades go back and forth, and now it could be all on to aLLeY. Popping dead silence. aBeZy does the same. Bomb still yet to get planted, but arsonies could make the play on the flank. Could it be versus Slasher? Runs right past him. Dead silence runs out, Jay.
He's right below him. He's right below him. Both of these players are getting a couple of sound cues of how they're going to be set up. aBeZy's able to sniff out Assault. So now in the 2v1, all of the RCDs. Can he do it versus his old team? Makes it a 1v1.
Oh, aBeZy is able to take it. In my word, it just felt like the story was there. It felt like it was perfect. aBeZy versus arsonies. There's been some words exchanged between these two since the team change. And how many players, Jay, go for the plant in that situation? aBeZy
a lot.
Absolutely not. He says, absolutely not. I'm going for the gunfight. And it works out.
Works out perfectly because you don't want to give RCDs the time to eventually maneuver his way around the map, come from a different angle. As aBeZy keeps his team alive a little bit longer in this search and destroy. He does find himself on a 4 spree. If you're aBeZy, you just want to slow this one down, but you also don't want to give up this free A bomb plant like the way that you have been in the last couple of rounds. But look at the adjustments so far from the Guerrillas. They're pushing up towards Ammo Alley. They're able to take control of White. Now the pressure is going to be over towards B, and Exceed already finds his way in towards B side.
Cellium, let's hear those footsteps. So Atlanta are hot in the heels of the Guerrillas play over at that B site. It's Slasher who answers early. Simp runs through for 2. Says goodnight to the rookies, and now arsonies staring down the barrel of a 1v4, and Atlanta will not go away. And my goodness, down big, they continue to answer back. It's Slasher to start, and it's Simp to come away with a big double kill. 5-4 now.
Momentum has completely shifted. Atlanta FaZe are trying to force that round number 11. If you are the Guerrillas, let's just not give up anything easy here. No one get easily picked. Just make sure you're playing in towards the site. Potentially have a trophy system once again to slow down those tacks. But your main focus is just getting that first blood. Do not allow Atlanta FaZe to win the trade battle.
And finally, feels like on aLLeY, search destroy, things begin to slow down. So many aggressive rounds, so many fast-paced starts. aBeZy eats a stun, jumps inside a mattress, trying to clear things for his bomb carrier. By the way, Joe to Thieves looked like for a moment had an opportunity to make a play. It's player 5 in Cellium, who's able to sniff out Exceed. He's hungry to find the second. Big gunfights going on across the map as Joe to Thieves is able to find one onto Simp. A current 3 versus 3. Steady pop for a few players as Slasher tries to make the play. Now finds himself behind enemy lines.
Yeah, he works his way all the way towards top party. Not a single play from LAG are able to hop on towards the bomb. They're able to spot at least one player in towards the site, but Slasher with that repositioning is able to find 3 kills in that round number 10. Beautiful plays out of him. LAG were not ready for that angle to be covered. Lines up the first, lines up the second. I'm pretty sure that was the 3rd kill. But Slasher, Mr. Thanos, Liddy Goat, forces the round 11.
How fitting is that? How fitting is it? Whew. That Slasher is the one to bring Atlanta FaZe back. They were down 4-0 in this search destroy. They were down 5-2 in this search and destroy, and they fought back to a round 11, a revenge game that's going to OT. No better way to settle the score than in just one round to close it out. Atlanta on the attack as they begin their pursuit at that A site, Jay.
Oh, and Slasher finds the first blood onto Exceed, trying to get aggressive through that keg alley. So now in the 3v4, aBeZy finds a second with the nade. Joe Deceive does have that silence pop, but he's gonna get spotted by Simp. He has to find a couple kills.
Oh, Joe Deceives is able to find one, but he eventually gets found out again from Slasher. A cruise missile that's about to come in potentially as Assault is the last man standing. A 1v3. Is this about to be a breakdown? Is it about to be a reverse sweep? It looks like there's a lot of potential for it to be. Assault able to cut away Cellium. Still 2 more to go. 10 seconds on this bomb. And this one is over. Atlanta FaZe, bring it back. They were in the depths. They were in the trenches. But they dig their way out. A reverse sweep and a 5-2 comeback here in map 5 gives them the dub. As they say, nighty night, lights out to the Guerrillas.
Atlanta FaZe, what an unbelievable series from them. Obviously, you start off slow into this one. You lose that opening hard point by 17. You lose the search and destroy in the game number 2, 6-2. But ever since you hit that control, it was aBeZy who takes over the game. The entire Atlanta FaZe roster in that game number 4 took over the game. The 200-point swing. And then, like you said, Lando, they had to dig deep, super deep, so deep that they didn't even know what the bottom was gonna look like.
Bedrock, baby.
You find yourself down 4-0 in the game 5. Then you find yourself down 5-2. But round after round, you start to bring it back. That is what world champions look like. Backs against the wall, you had to perform at your best, and they made the adjustments to do so. Great plays from Slasher, great clutches from Cellium. aBeZy and Simp, the Tiny Terrors, always causing problems in towards the bottom of that A site. Just an unreal series from start to finish from both of these teams. But if you are LAG, this one stings, man. This one stings. Up 2-0, up 5-2 in the final game to potentially guarantee yourself that 3-1 going to see your final game throughout the stage. That one sucks. That one sucks indeed, my friend.
Yeah, that one has to sting. The revenge tour is going to be canceled as the Atlanta FaZe come away with a game 5 round 11 victory. This is one of my favorite series that we've seen so far this season. A great way to close out the days. That'll do it for myself and Jay as we hand it over to the desk. Guys, What a crazy, crazy end that was.
That's an applause for all 8 competitors. Definitely the best game we have seen in a qualifier, and excellent calls there, especially by Lando at the very end. Lights out for the Guerrillas. aBeZy gets his revenge, but it took him until game 3 to get it going. Let's take a moment, though, aLLeY, and revisit our game 5, the turnaround. It was 4-0, then 5-2, and the casters nailed it. Something changed for FaZe.
Yeah, something changed for sure, and you have to say that has to be Slasher and aBeZy. They just suddenly started feeling like such presences on the map, and you know that was a huge gunfight for aBeZy to win against aLLeY, and from there on, it was all the Atlanta FaZe's momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was multiple times we saw Atlanta FaZe like set up around that A side in their offense, and every single time it felt like Joe Deceives or Exceed were getting up and behind them. Either it was through courtyard or it was through field, right? And it was Cellium's job to really watch those pinches, sometimes Slasher involved as well, and they made the adjustments. We saw Cellium play in bottom of the White House, picks up the kill. It was just massive adjustments we saw on the side of Atlanta FaZe. Like, aLLeY was not able to adapt, man.
Well, guys, we gotta, of course, give a shout out to everyone from FaZe, but I think aBeZy is the name you're seeing most in chat tonight. He is definitely in the running to be in our Scuff Team of the Major. Remember, we'll pick out 8. You, the fans, will choose the final 4 that will represent all of the competitors in Boston. Excellent stuff, though, from both sides of this. And let's take it all the way back to the beginning, because we were talking in the green room. It felt like FaZe was asleep. Cellium's dropping 31 kills in that first game plus, but no one else was with him. At the end of the hard point, we saw the Guerrillas looking strong, feeling confident, and they carried it into that first search and destroy as well.
Yeah, we saw some beautiful plays in that search and destroy, right? It felt like Aristides was like, I know how these guys play. This is what we're going to do. They were wrapping bombs back and forth. LAG looked like a formidable opponent. Like, they knew what they needed to do. I think round 4 was the most beautiful round that they had there. They go over towards B, wrap all the way back to spawn, then execute their pushes mid, picking up those first bloods. That's what you want to see if you're an LAG fan. Still going to be a contender coming into this event. Just the switch was flipped, man, in that game 3. There's nothing you could do when aBeZy slay him like that.
aLLeY, they always call them the tiny terrors. You see Simp and aBeZy running together. They're those subs who are kind of trading kills or just always entering together. Today, though, it felt like whoever was in aBeZy's sights during that game 3 control was going down. The man was absolutely on fire, winning 28 of the 35 engagements.
I mean, come on, like 27 and 8 in game 3. I mean, I think everybody at home can agree to this. It was just the aBeZy show throughout all of map number 3. And I think that's what makes the tiny terrors so terrifying, is the second that you kind of forget and be like, oh, well, maybe Atlanta FaZe, you know, they're down 0-2 to LAG right now. Maybe they're a middle of the pack team. And then they complete the reverse sweep. They very quickly shut you up. And I think that's what keeps them so terrifying, is that they can make those in-game changes, those mid-series changes.
And I want to show love to, of course, Boston. We're heading to Boston for the Major next Sunday. And, of course, love to New York, OpTic, and Toronto. But if I could ask for a grand finals, give me that rematch. Atlanta FaZe versus LA Guerrillas. Here's where they stand right now. And there's a chance we could see them matching up in the bracket, depending on how the rest of these games go. But currently, OpTic, the only unbeaten team going into Boston at the moment. Toronto, they were handed their first loss. You saw the Subliners drop that game 5 to FaZe on Sunday. And FaZe, they were in a hole. They started off with a loss. They had to pull off that clutch against the Subliners, and now another game 5 against the Guerrillas to lock in a top 4.
Yeah, I think it's like, when do FaZe find that consistency of how dominant they were in the second half of that series, right? Like, the first 2 maps, like, they were having their way with them if you look at LAG. Like, even the first map was like a little bit close in terms of points, but all the rotations were on the side of LAG. When they needed to break, it was coming in. So it's like FaZe need to find a way to become consistent in the respawns.
And as we take a look at the overall season, remember, it's the top 8 at Champs, aLLeY. What do you think of the Guerrillas right now? They're currently in 9th. They've moved up 3 spots since the start of this stage.
Well, you have to be kind to LA Guerrillas in the sense of they're still playing catch up from that first set of qualifiers, and they've done a great job so far here in qualifiers number 2 and stage number 2, so they still have a lot of room to grow, but thankfully for them, a team like London Royal Ravens isn't winning too many matches.
And we'll see what is still to come. Remember, we have 2 more days of action this weekend before we all kick off the show in Boston next Thursday. But right now, we got to talk to the man who flipped this series on its head. aBeZy joins us live. And aBeZy, I just want to open the floor and tell you, or ask you rather, do you have any words for your competitors?
I don't know, man. The second half of that series, it was crazy. Like, especially the control. I feel like I was just spinning on people. It was actually wild.
It was insane to watch, and we were telling the observers, go back to his screen. He's good for another one. He's good for another one. You kept frying. What was it? Was it comms? Was it confidence? Were you just not missing bullets? What was the difference? Because you kind of had a slow start in that game 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was probably just a confidence boost. I feel like I started playing a lot more loose in that map, and it showed. So yeah.
aBeZy, in that game 5, I mean, your search and destroy this year has looked pretty good as the side of Atlanta FaZe things go, but that game 5, you're down 5-2. Very rarely do we see comebacks like that. What was the game changing for you guys? Did somebody just start taking over the play calls?
I think we more so just started adapting to how they played.
Okay.
We kind of like figured them out a little bit, and honestly, it was just kind of like smooth sailing like every single round because I feel like we just kind of knew exactly like what they were doing.
aBeZy, unreal performance, man. I don't know if you're aware, but it was 102-59 in that game for Hardpoint. You guys won 250-102. Just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next question, because we see these dominant performances at times in Hardpoints. That comeback, I think about the Fortress that you guys had against Seattle, unreal.
Yeah.
What are you guys working on to get that to become more consistent? Like, what is the primary issue? What do you need to fix?
I think it's mainly just becoming a lot more loose on the map. I feel like sometimes we're a little stiff, and it kind of like shows in the matches. And I feel like if we can get to a consistency where we're always just being loose and like challenging together and doing things together on the map, then our hardpoint's going to be clicking like perfectly.
Your last 2 matches have been huge ones. You take down the Subliners, and now you have a reverse sweep against the LA Guerrillas. Which match was harder?
Ooh. I'd say this one just because, like, actually, no, I'd say the New York match. New York is a really good team, and it was tough to pull out a dub against them. I think our S&D is just really fucking good right now.
I agree. Well, it was fantastic to watch you. Congratulations on the 5-2 comeback to steal that round 11. FaZe back into our top 4.
All right, thank you.
That's aBeZy, that's Atlanta FaZe, and they are definitely a team to look out for moving forward. They're not done yet here in the qualifiers, and a lot more games are still to come on Saturday and Sunday. But as we sign off tonight and we talk about what is coming up, more watch parties, right, Ant? We got the Flank doing it. We got Scump doing it. Who else is going to join this watch party?
I mean, there's a ton of people doing watch parties. Just go over to Modern Warfare 2 on Twitch. You'll find everybody. And you can see them all on this graphic right here. A bunch of wonderful people in our community. And man, I just want to say, I wish aBeZy said something to RCs there. All the chirping back and forth. I'm sure our watch party guests would have loved it.
And of course, that is all going down next weekend, starting on Thursday. If you missed any of the games today, you just saw a 5-game series, but we started the day with a 5-game series as well. Let's go all the way back, reverse the footage, because that last one we watched might have been the tightest, but the closest hardpoint we saw opened up the day as it was the Mutineers on 248 points. And they were stuck there as the Royal Ravens and aBeZy mount the comeback.
Yeah, mostly aBeZy, but you know what? The London Royal Ravens, shout out to the rotations and kind of looking to the future, even though your enemy only needed 2 points to close out that opening hard point. It was a grueler of a series for sure, and I will say, honestly, even though London lost that map too, I was pleasantly surprised by the way they were playing their search and destroy, and it's getting better. There is improvement, but they have to make it a lot quicker to catch up to their opponents.
Yeah. Dave was in the mix here as well. Quickly to talk about the man for the Mutineers. What did you see here, and is he going to be the difference maker they needed?
No. But he was really good at search and destroy today. But that's not a game mode that they were particularly struggling in, right? Like, Brack had a 1.3 in that game mode. So by all means, he was playing great there, winning a lot of his opening duels. And Dave Patty came in. He had an ace today, which was wonderful in the game too. He had a couple big rounds, 1v1 wins that they had in that game 5. And they have a relatively easy 2 search and destroys. But I did not see anything that would indicate he's going to be a difference maker in hardpoint. And we're going to need players like Major Maniac to step it up as well when it gets to the hardpoints. Like, they are worse in the league by a mile in that game mode.
Having said they're playing faster, and speaking of fast, we saw it in our second series of the day. The Subliners came in against the Vegas Legion. We knew the Legion was struggling. We saw the Subliners lose, though, in their last match against FaZe on Sunday. What happened in this one? Well, you blinked your eyes and the series was over. A hot 3-0 as New York proves they are still in the running for the Boston Championship.
Now, was this like anywhere close to being an upset? No, not